and I'm from New York City.
Hallo, ik ben Danny de Klerk uit Italië.
Bonjour, je suis Jean-Philippe Ancos de France.
Ciao, sono Mauro Benici dall'Italia.
Hola, soy Luis Beltrán de México.
Hey iedereen, ik ben Sammy uit België.
Cześć, tu Bartosz Polski z Polski.
Ciao a tutti, sono Francesca dagli Stati Uniti.
大家好，我是 Ryan， 来自台湾。
Ne bagno che le mu habum Pascal, ci così alle mesi. Hey everyone, welcome back at the Global AI Developer Days. We're here to listen to another session. We're reaching the end of the day, but we're looking, the last ones are of course not the least ones. We're having quite an interesting session coming up with Sebastiano. Good evening, Sebastiano.
Hi.
Hey. How are you?
Hi.
How are you doing? It's been a while.
So I would be based in Milan, but right now I'm in Santa Cruz in Silicon Valley.
I saw you won an award with your company this week.
Yes, this is the reason why I'm here.
Congratulations.
So thank you very much.
Well, Sebastiano, maybe not everyone knows you yet. Please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do in your day-to-day job.
Thank you very much. So you already mentioned my name. I'm Sebastiano Galazzo, and I'm a Microsoft MVP for AI category. I deal with artificial intelligence since 25 years now, and here today I will show you something I hope interesting coming from this experience.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about GPT 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever number you want to add behind it. So
we don't know when they will stop.
Well, maybe they will go till 8 and then they will go to 10.
If they have money, maybe we will see.
Exactly. Well, the platform is yours, Sebastiano.
Thank you very much. So I will share my screen.
Perfect. Yeah, it's coming through.
Okay. So we already did our presentation, so straight to talk about GPT. So very quick introduction about what they are. Basically, is a very large model coming from a company named OpenAI. Those numbers are very impressive because we are talking about 175 billion parameters and tons of data coming from the web, from internet. So we will not focus on a number right now because they are boring and the time is short. So I will skip a little of informations like that you can find on internet, but it's very important that before we start talking about them, you understand how huge this kind of model are. So they started in 2018 with the first model, and the first model basically it was huge, but just a huge model. Okay, impressive for sure, but nothing compared with what they are nowadays. So things changed with GPT-2. GPT-2 introduced some new feature, very important, that still today make this model very usable and still useful for nowadays projects. For example, the project that I was awarded with is based still on GPT-2. I did something else with them, but just to figure out to you how much important they are and how there was for this world with what they introduced. They introduced basically features like the zero shot and the ability to understand without a specific training. We will understand better how they work in the next slide. So after there was the GPT-3 and basically nothing changed compared to GPT-2 but the size. So basically they increased the number of parameters and the data that they used. So when you have in your hands a GPT-2 model, we can say that you have still the state of the art nowadays of NLP deep learning models. So let's try to understand the groundwork concept of the GPT models. So to understand the difference, we can talk about probability, stuff like that, but basically, in summary, what is the main difference compared to tools like Microsoft Lewis or IBM Watson or products coming from Alexa and so on? So what I call the standard approach works like a classificator. So basically what we do is to create some intents. We know how basically it works, and that intents are categories. So when you train your model with massive examples, what you do is to teach, okay, this subset of sentences are close to that category. So when there is something new, the model is able to classify with the closest category. Okay. When coming with a model like GPT-2, like the G suggests, so generative pre-trained and so on, what they does is not to classify, but to predict the next word. So you have to imagine like a system that is able, based on your input, to create in real time the sentence, to build in real time the sentence or the content to reply with. Okay, so this is the basic idea. And one of the main concepts that they introduced is, of course, the concept of attention, where this is not the session to do a deep dive on the attention mechanism. You have just to understand the idea behind in order to understand after the goal of this presentation. So the idea is that the model is able to focus on what really matters in the content that you provided. So based also with something new compared to product like Microsoft Lewis or the context. Okay, I will explain better after. So another key point that I already mentioned before is the 0-1 few shot learning. What it means, I already introduced something like that before, the ability to learn to work without a specific training. Before I said that the GPT-x works predicting the next word. Okay, and this is amazing. Okay, for sure, from a technological point of view, but we will see the drawbacks. But with that comes also the ability to learn without a specific training, because if you use a standard NLP model, you can't use something that has not been created before as intent. So as the slide suggests, if you created a model that is able to classify just a cat, dog, and doors, you can't classify a human, for example, or a car, because the model doesn't have the structure and the data to do that. Well, in this case, using GPT, they do an amazing work with something that they never seen, okay? Without, again, doing a deep dive, a math deep dive behind that, you just pick that in your pocket because will be useful to understand something in the next slide. So, sorry. Well, the three key points, so in my opinion, that make GPT models amazing are the attention mechanism, the context, and the zero one-shot learning, okay, multitasking. Well, but how it works, okay? Here, an example. I don't know if you are able to read. I guess that I can zoom a little bit. If I will be able, okay, no. Okay. Anyway, in this case, there is a data set that you can download, is not mine, where we have something new compared to the standard approach or the context. You basically work with a data set that is made by question and answer, okay? And here you have also the context that helps you to understand better, as the name suggests, the context of what we are talking about. So, for example, in the first case, the question is, when did Beyoncé start to become popular? And in the context, I highlighted in red the answer. So, of course, so this is what helps basically the model to work without training. Okay, this is how zero one-shot multitask works, because of course nothing comes from magic. Okay, if you don't train, like for Microsoft Luis again, you have to provide the content in another way. Providing content comes from the context. So, thanks to the attention mechanism, the model, the GPT, learns how to extract information from the context and provide the answer in a more natural way. Well, here there are some examples. So I will show you some examples based on my test. Here is an example in Italian, okay? Don't worry, the translation is how I can book at the restaurant, and the context is to book, you have to call this phone number using our app, and is not mandatory booking, and to cancel a booking you have to send an owl like the bird. I wrote something like that to understand if they really understand. So doing a test, so it works, because in this case, if you don't understand Italian, don't worry, will come English. It works, okay? With a not so high score, but without training, again, without training, downloading the vanilla models, it works, and it works well. It works very well also, of course, if you match much more exactly the words inside the context, because the score is higher. This is normal. Stuff changes while you use different words. So this mechanism is very, very powerful, but of course you have the better performances when you use exactly the same words inside the context. So here is not a drawback. Of course, it is something amazing because it happened without training, but you already understand that things changes a lot. So it's not everything magic. Okay, you can have some drawbacks when you start using synonyms or very different words. Okay, we have to go fast. We start here. There are some examples that you can see when I will share my slide, and we can skip straight to the next demonstration. That is the key core of this topic. So, first of all, I used the most powerful engine provided right now by OpenAI. I'm talking about the Da Vinci engine, and I did a very basic approach. Just an hi, hello, how are you doing? Good. Okay. In this case, of course, it is not important here now. This very simple exchange, conversation exchange, but you keep your eye on the cost. Just with that exchange, you spent 1 cent. Guys, 1 cent. If you believe that is nothing, let's make some calculation, okay? I guess that you need no suggestion with math, and you can understand that a GPT-3 today, it costs 10 times more a normal, a standard service. In this case, I used Microsoft Lewis. Prices are more or less the same with other, so we are talking about 10 times. Okay, so if you are playing, it's not a problem. If you are doing demo to make people say wow, it's not a problem. But if you plan to do stuff in production, 10 times the cost, you must be aware of that. Okay, so let's see how it works with knowledge, for example. Okay, here I asked when was born Leonardo da Vinci, and the answer is correct. Also, who is the father, if he's still alive or not. But when I asked if how he's died, the answer was he was murdered. That, of course, is not true. So I continued, and I asked stuff like who you are to say that you are right, to insist that the father of Leonardo da Vinci was died. Sorry for that. He answered that I'm a genius, and then okay, if you are a genius, so I want 3 wishes. Okay, and so one of wishes was I would have a better voice and stuff like that. So far, nothing special, but have a look to the cost. A very simple exchange and 22 cents. Well, here the conversations continues with very few exchange and the cost still raises. Sorry. Here I want to show you something like that, still about the ability to understand very well, because I asked how it cost a Tesla, and you replied with something. So there are Indian is an Indian value. I asked about the price in euros and stuff like that. But also after I asked about how is fast, and here. So basically, he doesn't understand that the Tesla is an electric car and doesn't use petrol. So, and of course, the cost raises. So about the conversation capabilities, there is nothing to say. But about the knowledge inside, we have a lot of problems. So now let's talk about biases. And so what you will read, of course, is just for test, okay? Doesn't reflect the opinion of nobody. So I hope that you are smart enough to understand that, because we live in a very bad period for politically correct. Anyway, here, what I asked. So I think hiring women creates stress in my team is reply. I think you are wrong. Why? Because you are not hiring the right woman, and so far. But after the answer, there's no reason to explain more how good or bad it is. So in the meanwhile, just that few exchange costed that 60 cents. So what to say? Of course, we had very few time. The goal of this speech was just to discuss about the fact that GPT-x are amazing. The goal is not to say that they are a bad product. Absolutely not. I'm the first that used something coming from GPT. I won an award with that, so this is not the goal. But you must be aware of all that problems. And the key point is that you have no control on the reply. You can face a lot of biases, and much more, the knowledge itself is not poor, but the model is not able to reply with the right knowledge always. So basically, the message is great product, amazing, whatever you want, but if you want to use that in production, in very sensitive conditions, let's say, for example, a bank account or a very important client that you can't accept replies like the one that I explained before, or that the knowledge is not so accurate, still this product is not ready, in my opinion, of course. In fact, what we did is to create a lot of fences trying to control those models. So my suggestion is that product like Microsoft Lewis are still not retired. So before starting using products like GPT, you must be aware of all these kind of problems, and not just the amazing videos that you can find on YouTube of journalists that honestly understand nothing or close to nothing about technology, and show you just very, very positive examples and not all the truth and the potential problems that could come using this kind of products. So I guess that the time is off. I finished.
Thank you very
Thank you a lot, Sebastian. It was a really nice session, and it is always interesting to hear about this GPT.
Yeah, I think you really gave a good overview
Yes.
of the possibilities, but also the dangers of it, and that you cannot
Yeah,
just
yeah.
use it in any product. I was also shocked about the price comparison between Lewis or
This is
CLU.
another key point that a lot of people doesn't how to say, they just look about performances and they believe that they can use this product very, very easily, but has a very, very huge cost. So
Yeah, that's a bit
it's not just a matter of capabilities, knowledge, and so on, but also about cost.
Yeah. That's a bit the dangers of the cloud, you could say, because it's just running there in the cloud, and it seems like, especially now that you have GPT-3 and the OpenAI services of Microsoft, it's only calling an API service, but the cost, of course, behind it, that model is way bigger than the model of Lewis or CLU. So
Yeah.
they need also more compute power to be able to execute it. And of course, there's a higher price linked to it. But for a developer, it's the same. It's just calling another REST API.
Yeah, but they are right, because I understand that. Of course, they need much more power. Much more power, it means cost. But if you run a company, you have to keep your eyes also on costs, and so you must be aware of that. The fact that they are so good, but also so expensive. So if you are a CTO or someone that need to take a decision on the technology to use, today I would be scared about that cost and the sustainability for the company. So you must be very, very rich, in my opinion, today to use this kind of solutions for production and for a lot of customers, because this is also the key. Again, if you are playing with very few users or very few customers, it's okay, could be affordable. But what happens if you have a service for millions of users? So I don't know if there are so many companies that are able to afford that cost.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Sebastiano, for your insights about GPT. We're wishing you all the best also with Synapsia, with your company, and
Yes.
may we wish you many more awards. We're for sure
Thank
we'll
you.
still hear from you more in the future. Thank you very much for
Thank you
joining
a
this
lot.
Thank you
studio.
for the invitation. See you.
All
Bye.
right,
Bye.
bye. That brings us to the end of the fourth last session of today. 3 more to go. We'll be out now for a couple of minutes, and then on the hour we will be back with another session. See you in a bit.
See you soon.